Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's explainer, we're diving into some truly fascinating psychology that honestly completely flips the script on how society views social dynamics. We're talking about the psychology of the small social circle. Society loves to tell us that having a small circle or even no circle at all is somehow a failure. But today, we are totally reframing that. We're going to see how keeping to yourself isn't antisocial. It's actually a deeply rooted, highly fascinating psychological strength. So let's just jump right in.
So I want you to take a second and think about your own social life. Have you ever been hit with that question, why is your circle so small? Or maybe, why are you always by yourself? It's super common for society to instantly label solitary people as, broken or weird or fundamentally antisocial. We get taught from day one that success equals this massive entourage of friends. But the psychology we're looking at today, it tells a totally different story. It actually suggests that if you go long stretches without friends, there are real, profound reasons behind it. Reasons that actually point to how highly developed your brain is.
To figure out exactly why that is, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the misunderstood mind, craving depth, your social energy battery, strength and complete independence, and finally, the high trust threshold.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the misunderstood mind, basically having zero tolerance for the fake.
If you're someone with very few friends or even none at all, there's a really good chance you just absolutely cannot stand being around fake personalities. Research actually shows that as your self-awareness goes up, your tolerance for inauthentic behavior completely plummets. We're talking about the gossipers, the manipulators, the people who constantly wear these theatrical masks depending on who they're talking to. Your brain is wired to instantly detect those hidden motives. You just completely refuse to tolerate those social performances. Let's be real, a lot of social circles are full of people who will smile right to your face and then talk about you behind your back. But your highly aware brain, it picks up on all that manipulation immediately. So the big takeaway here is that you're keeping your circle small, not because you hate people, but because you are intensely protecting your own inner peace. You would literally rather sit alone in a quiet room than suffer through a shallow conversation with someone who's just putting on an act.
Moving on to Section 2, craving depth and rejecting fakeness. This is all about why quality always beats quantity.
There's this massive contrast in how different brains actually prefer to communicate. People without big friend groups aren't just universally avoiding relationships, they're avoiding surface-level relationships. Think about small talk for a second. The how's the weather conversations, the empty chatter, the forced smiles where nobody is actually listening to a word the other person is saying. If you have deeper thinking patterns, you find this stuff absolutely exhausting. If a topic doesn't have real substance, you're just not going to engage. What you actually crave is deep talk. You want to dive into ideas, psychology, what fundamentally drives human beings, what actually makes life meaningful. But because that kind of deep, authentic connection is so incredibly rare to find out in the wild, you consciously choose to stay alone rather than force connections that just feel entirely empty. It's a very deliberate choice for quality.
Next up is Section 3, your social energy battery. Let's talk about the biological cost of connection.
So, we need to talk about high social sensitivity. The psychology here explains that some people are just naturally wired with a much more sensitive, highly attuned nervous system. But what does that actually mean for you in the real world? Well, it means that when you're interacting with people, your brain is processing information way deeper than the average person. You're constantly picking up on microexpressions, subtle emotional cues, and you're analyzing interactions on multiple, really complex levels. Doing all of that heavy mental lifting naturally burns through your limited resources incredibly fast. It literally costs you mental energy to socialize. And because of that biological cost, you have to take longer periods of complete solitude just to recharge that battery.
This creates a really fascinating contrast. Think of a highly sensitive brain like a smartphone that has way too many apps running in the background. Every single conversation you have drains that battery super fast. Now compare that to an extrovert. For them, being in a crowded room is like plugging straight into a wall outlet. They actually draw energy from their environment. But for the highly sensitive brain, every single chat is an energy expenditure. You naturally conserve your social energy because you just instinctively know it's a very limited biological resource. And it is so crucial to understand this. Needing complete solitude to recover does not mean you dislike people. Not at all. It's literally a biological necessity for your nervous system to cool down and hit reset.
That brings us to Section 4, strength in complete independence and the real power of your inner world.
Here we're looking at a concept called low social dependency.
A lot of people are absolutely terrified of being alone. Why? Because they rely almost entirely on social validation just to feel good about themselves. But people with very few friends often possess this incredibly rare trait. Low social dependency is that unique ability to find comfort, to find your motivation, and to generate your own validation entirely inside your own mind. You don't need a massive cheering section around you to know your own worth. You're uniquely equipped to entertain yourself, to tackle really complex problems totally solo, and to create this vibrant, rich internal world all on your own.
When you have this kind of low social dependency, there's a whole list of things you just suddenly realize you no longer need. We're talking about things like external validation, the need for constant social entertainment, relying on outside motivation, or feeling the need to just collect mere acquaintances to fill the silence. Because let's be real, collecting acquaintances sounds like a pretty exhausting hobby. Now, to the outside world, this intense self-sufficiency can sometimes come off as distant or even aloof. But the source material makes it crystal clear. This is actually a profound psychological strength. Your standards for friendship are just extremely high. You refuse to let just anyone into your personal space, and you definitely don't need to surround yourself with a bunch of random people just to feel seen. And finally, we arrive at Section 5, the high trust threshold, which is all about protecting that inner circle. So you might be wondering, why do these ultra-high standards exist in the first place? Well, very often, people with small circles share a common backstory. Usually, there's a past experience that fundamentally altered how their brain behaves, making them way more cautious. This creates what psychologists refer to as a trust threshold. It's basically this really high psychological bar, a barrier, that other people absolutely must clear before they get access to your life. Whether it was a bad betrayal, childhood neglect, or just getting burned by running with the wrong crowd in the past, the psychology shows that once your trust has been broken, your brain fundamentally shifts into this highly selective, hyperprotective mode. Let's actually break down how this strict defensive protocol operates in your day-to-day life. It usually plays out in 3 distinct steps. Step 1 is simply to observe. You've been burned before, right? So now you watch people from a distance first. You pay close attention to how they treat others when they think nobody else is looking. Step 2 is the test. This is where you evaluate their true motives to see if their words actually line up with their actions over time. And it's only after they pass those first 2 rigorous steps that you finally arrive at Step 3, trust. This is when you actually allow them access into your inner circle. You're the type of person who thinks twice, heck, maybe even 3 times before letting someone in, just to make absolutely sure that your peace and safety are never going to be compromised again.
So pulling all of these fascinating insights together, here is the ultimate takeaway I want to leave you with. If you have a small circle of friends, it does not mean that something is wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're broken, and it definitely doesn't make you a failure. What it actually means is that your mind just works differently. It means you possess this incredibly rare awareness, emotional depth, sensitivity, and ridiculously high standards. You simply have a richer inner world and a much sharper intuition than most people.
There's this quote that I absolutely love, and I think it perfectly summarizes everything we've explored today. Sometimes the people with the strongest minds walk alone for a while. Walking your own path isn't some sign of weakness. It's a sign of immense empowerment. Honestly, it takes a deeply strong, secure mind to reject the comfortable illusions of fake friendships and actively choose the peace of authentic solitude instead. Which leaves us with one final, pretty thought-provoking question as we wrap up this explainer. What other rare traits is your mind hiding? If a small social circle is actually a sign of deep psychological strength, what other parts of your personality are secretly your greatest superpowers? Keep exploring, keep learning, and as always, thank you so much for focusing in with me today. Catch you next time.